Hello, Love 52. I'm Paul, and I am excited to tell you that this is the beginning of our 8th week of Love 52. We've been doing this 7 full weeks. This begins our 8th week. I can't believe it. And if you're like me, maybe you'll have to go back and double check me and count the videos. And you'll see there was week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with little midweek videos in between. And yeah, today's number 8. So thanks for being here and being a part of this. You know, you're not joining me, we're joining together. And we're spreading love. We've been uncomplicating love. We're gonna continue to uncomplicate love. We've only addressed some of the ways that we have complicated it, and therefore we can uncomplicate. And there's other ways that we'll get into down the line. You know, we've been simplifying love. Hopefully you realize it's as simple as making a PB&J. And my hope is, and I know for some of you, because I've talked to a number of you, you've been making PBJs, you know, and so continue to do it. And if you've been doing it, if you did it more than once, it's because you realize the simplicity and the benefits. And so keep doing it. And some of you have been picking up on the term ITEA, interest, time, energy, and attention, what love looks like. And some of you I've been hearing from, you've realized that things you're doing on a regular basis, kind of unintentionally, when you look at it and you pay attention, you realize you're giving love. Sometimes you've realized that helping your neighbor, helping your friend, helping a family member, you're expressing ITEA. And when you realize it, it changes our experience. You know, so I'm glad you've been doing this. You know, and to end 2020, it's almost over. To end it, choosing to focus on love for the past 7 weeks. And then now the 8th week. For the last 8 weeks of 2020, we have been focusing and are focusing on love. When there's so many other things that we could be focused on, so many other things we could dwell on, you know, and most of them are out of our control, and a lot of them are negative. But we're choosing to do this. I don't know about you, but you know, 2020 wasn't awful. Yeah, a lot of negative things happened in 2020, but a lot of positive things have happened in 2020 also. Connections with family, connections with friends, focusing on love. You know, that's what we're doing here. So let's catch up or rehash a little bit about last week. We were talking about what happens when we are being loved. ITEA is being experienced and given to us or invested in us. Somebody, if they're loving me, is giving me interest, time, energy, and attention. And if I'm healthy and, you know, I'm not dependent on them, I receive it and I can feel and realize that I'm important, significant, valuable to the individual who's loving me. They give me ITEA, I feel great. I feel important, significant, valuable, and I believe it. You know, we've been talking about investing ITEA in ourselves so we're not dependent on others. And what that does is it helps me realize and believe that I'm important, significant, valuable. So when others give it to me, oh, they are not reassuring me, I don't need it, but they're kind of verifying what I've already known, and that's that I'm important. And they're expressing that I'm important to them. When it's love, when it's authentic love, that's what they're expressing, that I am important to them. Now, what happens when we focus on loving others is there's a little flip. And the foundation when I'm being loved is ITEA. What happens when I'm loving others, the foundation is I am first acknowledging and identifying that the person that I am giving ITIA to is important, significant, valuable, a priority in my life in the moment. So I acknowledge that, and then I realize what a lucky person I am to have them in my life in this moment. And then I give them ITIA. See how that goes? When I'm loved, ITIA is the foundation. When I'm being loved, because that's what I see first. When I'm loving, the cognizance, the cognition of love, the belief and realization that that person is important to me, that is the foundation. I shared with you last week, it was the midweek, it was Christmas Eve. I shared with you a little thing that my daughter Abby and I did. We drove east when it was dark early in the morning, and we saw the sunrise. And about 4.5 hours later, after the sun rose, we arrived to my niece Allie, and she hops in the car, we get some lunch, and we head back. 5.5 hours to get her, 5.5 hours to get him back. And on the way there, we see the sunrise. It was pretty cool. On our way back, we see the sunset. That was just a cool experience. And I shared with you in midweek that, it was a big deal to my sister Tiff and my brother-in-law Ethan. It was a big deal to them that Abby and I did that. Yeah, we brought their daughter home safely so she didn't get on a plane. And I told you, if you watched in the midweek, I told you, yeah, it was a big deal, but probably not for what you're thinking. I want to share with you some stories. I'm going to share with you 4 stories that I either was a part of or heard about and witnessed, not experienced, but I witnessed it. These experiences of ITIA being given. Because my belief is when love is authentic, when love being given is authentic, genuine, sincere, loving's always a big deal. And it has really nothing to do with what specifically is taking place. It's not really the action or the expression of love. So I'm going to give you 4 stories that either I was a part of, heard about, or witnessed. And I'm going to share with you what makes them all equal, or I should say equally, a big deal. So, about my daughter Abby and I driving 5.5 hours or so, give or take, pick up Allie, drive back. Why did we do that? Because Allie is important, significant, valuable to us. And I know to Tiffany and Ethan too, but to us, my wife Cindy, Abby, me, Cole, our son. That's why we did it. Okay? I saw a gentleman in a coffee shop buy another gentleman a cup of coffee. And I could tell, I was eavesdropping, I could tell they didn't know each other. And the one guy bought the other guy a cup of coffee. And it looked like just because. And so I'm going to make an assumption that the gentleman who paid for the coffee decided that individual, the other gentleman there, was important and significant in that moment of existing together in the environment, and probably never will again. But he in that moment decided the other gentleman is important. Bought him a cup of coffee. Interest, time, energy, and attention, because he chose to acknowledge this person as important. I made an assumption there, I realize, but just to give an example. Then I talked with someone and I heard about helping neighbors, driving them where they needed to be, driving to pick up things, helping cleaning their house. I heard about consoling or comforting rather, and giving just an ear to listen. Interest, time, energy, and attention, because that neighbor is important, significant, valuable, blah, blah, blah. That's love, authentic love. And then I know someone who got a very valuable gift at Christmas time. You know, maybe you're one of them who got, you know, a high-end quality, you know, maybe Chanel or Louis Vuitton or Ralph Lauren or, you know, any of those. Costs a lot of money. And I'm going to guess that the person that got the gift was given the gift because they are important, significant, valuable, blah, blah, blah. So why would I say love, when it's authentic, is always a big deal? I gave you an example of driving for hours or a short time in the community. I gave you an example of buying a cup of coffee, let's just say $5, or an expensive Louis Vuitton, Chanel, whatever, you know, that cost maybe $500 to $1,000. And I'm here to tell you that each expression, each of them was a big deal and equally a big deal. How could that be? Well, according to me, which, you know, I don't need to tell you, you don't need to believe me, but according to me, it's a big deal because we identify the person as being important, significant, valuable, blah, 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 whatever words you want to use. Basically, before we do anything, we're identifying the person as a big deal. Whatever follows, if it's authentic, whatever follows, driving, buying, cooking, baking, creating, whatever we do for that person, after we identified them as a big deal, whatever we do is a big deal, because the person is. Drive 500 miles, drive 5 miles. Buy something for $5, spend $500. Bake someone cookies or a 7-course meal. It doesn't matter. It's all a big deal. I ask people all the time, so what have you done lately to demonstrate or give interest, time, energy, attention to someone else? Or maybe I'll summarize it and just say, how have you loved someone recently? I don't know how many times, I quit counting, how many times people would preface with, well, it's not a big deal, but, and then I stop them before they continue because they're minimizing love. When it's authentic, when it's sincere and genuine, it's always a big deal because the person that they're loving has been identified and is a big deal. Look, if I'm loving myself, doesn't matter if I'm going for a jog, doing art, going surfing, whatever it is, I'm a big deal to me. Whatever I do for me is a big deal. And if I'm authentically loving someone else, they're a big deal. So whatever I'm doing is a big deal. They might think it's a big deal because I drove all that distance. Yeah, that's cool. I just hope I take the time or have the chance to let them know the truth about why it was a big deal. Allie's a big deal. That's why it was a big deal. Look, if you can drive, driving's not a big deal. But the person is, you know? Who are you loving? Who are you thinking of right now? Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's your spouse, your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend. Maybe one of your children, your grandparent, parent. Maybe a cousin. Maybe your neighbor. Maybe one of your buddies. Whoever you're thinking about. I bet you're identifying, yeah, he, she is a big deal. Loving's always a big deal. Loving yourself, loving others. Hey, keep it up. We're going to continue this. I'm going to talk to you in a couple days. It'll probably be New Year's Eve. You know, it's pretty cool. We've been doing this for nearly 8 weeks, the beginning of 8 weeks. We've been doing this. We don't need to make New Year's resolutions about love. We don't need to set goals about loving more or loving better. No, because we've been doing this. We're gonna continue doing it. It's not something we're doing for 1 year. No. We're authentically spreading love. So let's keep spreading love and can carry it into 2021. Really, we're just carrying it into the next day or the next month. So I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye.